What's up guys? Today we're going to be showing you some useful or cool 3D prints that you can do as a beginner 3D printer. Maybe you just got your 3D printer and you're not really sure what to print. Maybe you pre-ordered a Centauri Carbon for your first 3D printer and you just want to get ideas and have STLs ready to go. As soon as you plug that thing in, you want to get it going, right? You don't want to sit there and print a benchy, but you want something cool that you can actually use, or maybe something practical. Well, I'm going to show you guys a few things, give you a few ideas, so let's get into it. One quick note about today's items that I'm about to show you, or the 3D prints and the STLs. They're all going to be free, so don't feel like you need to pay for anything. And if you see something you like here today, I'm also going to have the links for it down below if you want to print it yourself. And in general, if you just search for similar items of a category that I'm showing you here today, you're probably going to get a lot of different also objects that you can print for free, and maybe they look a little better aesthetically to you. These are just the ones I picked, so I'll show you. I'll link the files down below, so let's get started. The first 3D print I want to show you guys is this little box from Gridfinity, or it's a general category called Gridfinity, where you have these little storage boxes, and they have like these squares on the bottom. I'm probably doing a terrible job at describing this, but you print a grid. So I'm going to show you guys that here in a second, but you just kind of sit these in the square grid and they don't really move, right? So it's perfect for putting them in your toolbox, organizing a whole bunch of stuff. What I'm using it for, and I'm going to show you here in a second, is actually all the screws I've bought from my life-size Battle Droid build. I'm actually starting to organize in my giant toolbox. So let me show you guys what I've been working on with these so I can give you like a better look at what they actually are. Okay, so showing you the actual Gridfinity and kind of where it gets its name. You can see here, I printed a grid and they have these two squares on the bottom, so you can kind of just lock them into place, easy peasy, right? These that I printed here have a lip so I can put labels on. So what I'm gonna have my wife do for me is I'm gonna ask her, hey, can you print like M3 or M6 bolt? And I'm gonna just start plopping all these in there, right? They're all gonna be nice and labeled. You can print bigger ones, so you can print one that would fill up even like this whole square if you wanted. I'm gonna end up putting this whole layer of my toolbox with nothing but the Gridfinity. I'm going to keep all of my bolts for all my 3D builds in there. I'm going to start putting some screws. You can get a really big one, right, that takes up this whole thing. I can just dump all of these screws in here. So it's not like, it's just a really easy way to really organize. A lot of people go crazy with this Gridfinity stuff. I think there's a whole subreddit on Reddit just dedicated to Gridfinity and organization. There's a lot of cool things. Also as well, like in here, I believe this drawer for me. Nope, not that drawer. That's my wrenches. I have all of this in here, all my sockets. So I can print a Gridfinity socket type like organizer, and I can go ahead and just keep them all nice and organized. So I'm going to end up doing Gridfinity probably on my whole tool chest here. So there's a ton of ideas with Gridfinity, and really the possibilities are like limitless. There's like a Gridfinity website as well. I believe it's like all open source. I'm relatively new to Gridfinity, and it's a relatively new idea to like get super into the organization and printing all of your own bins and everything for me. But Gridfinity is like one of those things, like, I had no idea people were so crazy about it. People are doing their whole house in Gridfinity. So I figured I would show it, and that's the first thing I've been working on. And all of them are free, right? They have other designers that are working stuff. If you just search Gridfinity on MakerWorld, you'll see a ton of stuff when it comes to printing and doing all of the Gridfinity organization. But with that being said, the second thing that I would suggest looking into printing are these little, they're just like travel containers. So if you search on MakerWorld travel containers, you'll actually get a whole bunch of different options. And both these were just printed in PLA. You could probably print them in a tougher material if you're printing in any sort of like PETG. I don't know, TPU, maybe it would be better, but they work in PLA, right? There's nothing here that is going to be super warm or destroy the PLA that I would use. So if you need something to, I don't know, if you need to stick a little something in here when you're traveling, I guess the possibilities are kind of endless. Maybe you need to store something else in here. I don't know. Let me throw that one to the side. But I also printed it bigger, and it printed perfectly fine. What I think I was going to do with these, or at least my initial plan, was there's a resin mixture. So that way I didn't have to waste any sort of other container on it, and then I could just close it up, not let the sunlight hit the resin, So when I was doing or working on my 3D prints and filling my battle droid and things like that, I'm sure more people can think of more ideas for like a travel container. I really don't do that much traveling, honestly. It's a shame. I should, right? My wife wants to travel. Happy wife, happy life. I should take her more out to do stuff. But I'm sure a lot of you can think of things to do with a travel container, and I know they sell them at Walmart, and they're a little I don't know, you can make this one any size you want. You could print it huge if you want, if you had another idea for it, or whatever it may be, right? But if you just search travel container on those free STL websites like Thingiverse, like MakerWorld, Printables.com, which I'll link all those down below as well, you'll find tons of different ones. So if you don't find this one necessarily aesthetically pleasing, then you can look for another one. They print without supports. They print perfectly fine. You can see, boom, boom. It is really tight on there. You're not getting this thing off very easily. And it's actually a little tough to open. But once you get it going right, it's like any old screw. Once you get it loose, it just keeps going. But yeah, travel containers is another thing that you could 3D print. And, it makes it really cheap to get them. Another thing that you guys can 3D print are actually these clamps. They might come in handy when you're trying to glue stuff up if you're doing a rather large 3D print, or maybe you just need to hold something small together. Even when I'm woodworking, I can use some of these clamps. They're really good if you're in kind of a bind and maybe you don't have a lot of metal C-clamps. The metal C-clamps, right, they're what? I don't know, a couple dollars a piece. You can print this for maybe 50 cents. So it'll save you a couple bucks, and I can print 5 of these. And if I really need a bigger one, you can print this even bigger, right? These are it's 3 separate pieces, so I can just pop this piece off, and this piece unscrews. Anyway, it prints in 3 separate pieces, so you can even put 1 on there, 2 on there, then put the 3rd piece on there, and print just some ginormous clamp if you needed it, right? But this has been helpful for me. It actually has a pretty good strength. Well, now I gotta put this back together. It actually has pretty good strength. When I put my finger on it and I actually clamp it all the way down, it actually starts to hurt my finger, and it has a pretty good strength. It does also rotate to its whatever object you're actually putting it on. So if I do it on my thumb, for example, let's go, 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 go. It's gonna bend to it, right? Just like most ow, that actually hurts. Man, I should have tested this before I did this. Anyway, the C-clamps, guys, really good print, and I'll link it down below, right? If you want to print it, just like everything, I'm linking it down below. It is free, and actually, it was pretty surprising to me that it worked so well. All right, so one other thing that most of you have probably already heard about is these planters. Now, the one thing that I like about this one in particular, and I feel like these used to be paid sort of files, is that this one, actually, if you pull it out, it allows for drainage. So if you're going through a process of doing a lot of germination on new seeds and you just need to water them, these are honestly perfect for that. So it's really easy. You can see it down there, and you have this where all the water would sit. So that way you're not overwatering your plants, because that is a big thing about, okay, I made it seem like it was super easy, and then all of a sudden I can't get this in. Yeah, okay, it is easy, guys, if you're just not dumb like me. Anyway, but it has the holes in here. You probably can't see them, but I think the planters are actually kind of slept on, because, I don't know, this is a lot more aesthetically pleasing than just one of those black, or I don't know, maybe a pop more, but if you're doing it inside, I feel like these look great. Now, you can't really put these outside being PLA, but if you need somewhere inside and maybe you're only sitting them out in your windowsill, I think they would hold up do a decent job holding up. Or maybe you have some indoor plants that you're trying to grow. These would be perfect for indoor plants. One quick thing too is I print everything in black, but if you were to print these in a stone PLA, they would probably look 100 times better. I don't know, the black, it's more modern, I guess. It goes with everything. But also, on top of printing it in stone PLA, if you were to just search planters or self-watering planters even they have, or just, I don't know, any sort of planter on MakerWorld, all those other websites that you can get free STLs, you can find other ones that maybe you think look a little nicer than this as well, and just go ahead and print them. And most of them don't need supports. You can expand them, make them huge, so you can have a gallon planter made out of PLA. Is it, normally feasible? I don't know. Try and find out. You never know. But it's pretty thick, it holds up, right? And if you're doing any sort of germination, or you you need a planter and you don't want to go to the store and buy one, just go ahead and print one. Okay, so this one I've actually used recently to sand down some of my 3D printed parts for my life-size battle droid build. Hopefully, video coming soon as I finish that thing. But it's actually a sanding block. So I had some extra M3 bolts that I went in and attached in. And there's actually some, well, I guess the M3, I don't know. The bolts, you know, they got the nut on the end. That's what it is. There's some nuts on the inside here that actually screws down in and locks in to seal in the sandpaper. I actually don't think this is the correct way to build this. There's actually some spinning ones on top that tighten it as well. But it actually worked perfect for the sandpaper I had. I just went ahead and ripped it so I can make like a whole bunch of little slices of sandpaper. But there's so many different sanding blocks that you can print so that way you don't have to hold the sandpaper with your bare hand. And it just makes it a lot easier to put in that extra elbow grease when it comes to doing this. So I actually would really recommend these sanding blocks if you're working on a lot of 3D projects. It's really going to help out with your hand fatigue. And honestly, this one's so small that you can get into a lot of those hard to reach places and just have a pretty good grip on things. All right, so the last one is kind of like just like my fun 3D print here. And a lot of times you can find a lot of characters that you can print. So this one, for example, this is a Mandalorian Bust. I printed on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon, and it was free. Photos Mint offers this for free. He also has a Yoda one that I actually have sitting on my desk at work. Not everyone likes 3D printed gifts, right? But at work, a lot of people see it as a little novelty, and it costs you what? Like a couple cents or $1 to print something out like this. Maybe this cost me $2 or $3. But they make little fun gifts for people at work. So I actually printed the Yoda to show someone at work just because he never knew how the 3D printer worked, and they thought it was pretty cool, right? So do I go around handing 3D printed gifts to everyone? No, but with like something like this Mandalorian Bust sitting on someone's desk at work, maybe someone's a huge fan of Star Wars, maybe they're a huge fan of Iron Man. Sometimes you can find free Iron Man bust as well. Just search for whatever character you're looking for. Maybe they have it, or maybe you find one for a couple dollars. But for example, like this Mandalorian one was free. You search a lot of characters. I know there's a lot of free Deadpool stuff out there. So there's just a lot of free stuff that's inspired by IPs that maybe are your favorite. Harry Potter, again, too, another one that is super popular. So just search for something, guys. You don't need necessarily ideas, just search Mandalorian and you'll have a lot of cool stuff come up that you can 3D print. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please remember to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see, what videos you want to see. I'm really trying to put out a couple videos a week now and stay consistent. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.